Today we are doing a tutorial about how to make 2D basic print images into 3D works of Shadowbox art. Okay, so this image that I am showing currently is a piece of art that my boyfriend has previously done using the same methods. Okay, so let's get into the materials we're going to need. Today, as you can see, we are going to need a few things. So we're going to need some glue sticks, awesome sauce, just some basic bitch glue sticks. We're going to need some cutting utensils, 2 scissors, because 2 people are making the projects. We're going to need X-Acto knives. Okay, fabulous. He may choose to use some paint, so we may use this paint. Just a basic box of paint, awesome sauce, and here are the paint brushes that he would be using if in fact he chooses to use the paint. Cool beans. A Sharpie for touching things up, and for making exact cut lines we're going to be using a metal ruler. Alrighty, let's get started. Rock and roll. So these sheets of paper are going to be our backgrounds. So our backgrounds are the exact size as the frame we purchased. These are going to be our artwork images that we've chosen to use. He's going with the movie Creepshow from the 80s. I'm going with The Mandalorian and sweet ass Baby Yoda. These are going to be the Shadowbox frames we are using. They go in these rad little levels, so the inside has the inserts that you can make different levels of depth, which we thought would be super cool for this. We've never used these before with this, but you know, hey, whatever. You only live once. So we're unboxing these bad boys and getting it all ready to go. Now just take everything out of the frame, you know, like all of the stuff that comes inside the frame, like the advertisements and such. These little guys are the depth rings that, you know, make your shadow box how deep you want it, or, you know, gives your image different depths. And they just stack on top of each other. They have no special stacking way. You just put them on top of each other to make them work. Okay, once you're all ready to go and you've gotten your little rings all cleaned off and all the advertisements off of it, you're going to take the backing of your frame and you're going to glue or double-sided tape the very first layer onto the backing. So we chose to have backgrounds that are the same size as our frames, as you should. I'm going with like a cloudy purple, like blue kind of background. It kind of looks like watercolor, kind of it's supposed to look like the sky. So that's going to be my background. And Josh's background for his Creepshow picture is actually going to be a black velvet, because he hadn't decided what he wanted to do with his just yet, but it's going to be a black velvet. That wood that you see, that like paneling wood, is going to be like the crate, because as you can tell, that's the that's the Creepshow character, the crate. So it's the monster from the crate. So that wood is going to be the crate. So once you've secured your background to the back of the frame, what you're going to do now is take the artwork you have chosen and start cutting out your layers. Now I'm going to have 3 layers, so I printed out 3 copies of my art. It will need to be the exact same pictures, and I'm going to start cutting now. This is going to be my first layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut Mando, Baby Yoda, and the mountains out, because the mountains are going to be part of my background. But the sky is going to go because I already have a sky. That's going to be my background that's already on the back of the frame. Is going to be my sky background. And as I'm cutting, Josh is over there deciding what he wants to do. He ends up choosing, instead of the red sparkly background, he ends up choosing the black velvet background and using just the crate animal's eyes. And it looks really cool once he's done, you'll see. Now my image is not as wide as my frame, So what Josh and I were just discussing was where I'm going to cut my image in order to spread it out. And we both decided that at the fork of Mando's gun would be the best spot to cut and open up the image in order for it to be wide enough. So I'm going to cut that guy right there in order to be able to wide him up to the corners of the frame. Once I've decided where my placement's going to be, I then glue all of it down so that way it doesn't move or peel up. We don't want it to curl at all. Okay, now I'm cutting out my secondary image, and that's going to be the image that's going to be lifted to make it look 3D. So I'm not going to split that at Mando's gun. This time I'm going to keep Mando's gun connected, the size that it should be, and I'm going to cut just Baby Yoda and just Mando out. I'm not cutting out the mountains, so that's what I'm doing. And as you can see, Josh has decided to go with the black velvet like I had already predicted, and he has cut out the eyes only of the crate monster and is going to do a little flare on the sides, and it's going to look totally badass. Okay, now that I've got my Baby Yoda and my Mando cut out, I need a little bit of cardstock in order to make them stiff so they don't curl and they can adhere to a lift. And by a lift, I mean some foam in order to lift it from the surface to look raised up and raised like 3D. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing some cardstock, and I will be using that and the X-Acto knife to get those looking stiff. And I'm just going around the entire piece of artwork with the X-Acto knife, getting as close to the art as I possibly can, trying not to let any of the white show through. And Josh over there has cut out the pupils to the creature's eyes and given the side of his cheeks a little bit of flare, like with like some hair look, like, you know, like to fray it a little bit. It looks really cool. And his velvet background is going to be the bottom layer, and his face and eyes are going to be lifted, and it's going to look super duper rad, all 3D. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I have finished cutting out my cardstock backed Mando and Baby Yoda, and I am attaching a lift, which is a large chunk of foam on Yoda and on Mando. And I'm going to use just simple glue stick in order to adhere mine. Just rubbing it on like normal, no specific or particular application way, just getting it on there. Josh is putting glue on his backing area of the frame, and he's going to attach that black velvet onto the area that he's glued. I have pressed down my third image, my 3D image, and now I'm going to attach all of the lifts on the side to lift the glass. That's what's keeping the glass from pressing down on your artwork. So now I'm letting mine sit there and dry for a little bit, and Josh is adhering his eye strip to the black velvet. That's what it's going to look like. It's going to look totally fucking badass. Jesus Christ, it's so cool. But because that black velvet isn't paper, he has to use a different kind of glue in order to adhere his eye strip artwork to the black velvet. So what he's going to do is he is going to put some like a liquid cement kind of vibe on there. You'll see it. It just wipes on. It's like paint. Now that I have put my lifts in there to keep my glass away from my artwork, I am flipped my art upside down and now attaching the back of the frame together. And then I will flip it over and mine will be done. And voila! My super rad 3D art is done. It looks totally fucking badass. I absolutely love it. This is my first try at this, so I think in hindsight, I probably would have put some clouds up there in the third dimension as well. Like lifted like the Mando and Yoda are. I would have put some clouds like lifted, just to give that void a little bit of something up there. But I really like the way it turned out. It looks fucking totally badass. Josh's is about to look killer as well. Like, I can't even deal with how cool his is. But then again, he's done this before, so of course this is gonna look better than mine because he's like, you know, an old pro at this. This is my first try. Okay, he's painting on his liquid cement as like adhesive, and it will adhere to the velvet much better than a glue stick would. That's why he's using that. Always take in account what kind of fabric you're using and or what kind of paper you're using, so that way you can use the right kind of glue, so that way it stays on there for as long as possible. Because if in fact you end up getting badass at these and you start selling them, you want to make sure that whoever buys these are going to be able to enjoy them for years to come. And also remember, when you're using either, you know, like a liquid cement or something like that, it isn't going to adhere immediately. So if you don't, you know, get it even right off the bat, you're going to be able to lift it and straighten it. Because as you can see, this is like leaning to the right a little bit, so we're going to lift it and try to center it a little better. And it doesn't mess up the artwork whatsoever. Alright, now he's going to do the exact same thing. After he has centered his art, he is now going to flip it and then make sure his little spacers are in, keeping the glass forward, and put on the back. And then he'll flip it over and his will be done, and it's going to look totally killer. And Boomtown, it looks so badass. I absolutely love both of them. Like, I can't get enough of both of them. They're so kick-ass. Looks so killer, oh my god. Okay, and here are the two finished products. They look totally killer. You can really see mine's 3D. It's a little more difficult to see Josh's 3D like effect. on video, but in person it's so killer. It's so killer badass. Like, I absolutely love it. And I love the shadow effect that keeping the original image in the background makes. I love it. I absolutely love it. Looks so good. So here they are sitting on the countertop, and I'm going to give you a shot of them hanging on the wall just so you see what they look like on the wall as well. Okay, and here they are hanging on the wall, looking totally amazing. It's Mando and the child, and this is the Creepshow crate. I love it. I love both of them. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time.